Hey everybody. I hope everything is working. It is Ron from Ron's Computer Videos. Oh gosh, that went away really quick. But anywho, what I wanted to talk to you about today, and I wanted to do is a little bit of a live stream in case anybody had questions or whatever, but I guess we'll see. Hey Kate, I just wanted to talk to everybody about a funny little project I did, which is everybody's seen that scene in Star Trek 4 where McCoy and Scotty they go to the manufacturer because they need a tank. They need a tank to put their whales in, right? I'm not sure why it had to be transparent aluminum, but for whatever reason, it had to be. So they go to this manufacturing place. It's got this big operation, and so he basically teaches them how to make transparent aluminum so that they can make a tank and they can put the whales in and they can get back to the future, I suppose. But the whole thing of it is, the joke of it is that they're all fish out of water. This is kind of a fish out of water story because it's people from the far future with all this technology back in what would be like 1984 or something like that. So the thing is, the guy takes him in. He's like, "Oh, we got a computer. You can use the computer. You can show us." And so he sits down and he just starts talking to the computer, and the guy kind of looks at him. The guy from what would be our present looks at him as kind of what, and then McCoy is like, "Oh no!" Reaches down, picks up the mouse for the computer. It's a Macintosh. Hands him the little mouse, and Scotty, rather than using the mouse, picks it up and says, "Hello, computer," and starts talking to it. And big joke. And then it's like, oh no, no, no. Why don't you use the keyboard? And then he types like he's Mavis Beacon's dad or something, just like 4 billion words a second. So it's a funny joke in kind of a funny movie. And so the idea is that I wanted to for Marchintosh do like a fun little project like that. And so what I made is I actually made a mouse mic for your for your classic Macintosh machines. And so what I thought I would do is take a few minutes here and show everybody how they can kind of make one of their own. There's not a lot to it. This isn't going to be a long stream, but I just hope it's a fun one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the camera over here to the bench, and then hopefully I'll make sure that we've still got audio and everything over there. Yeah, we should still have audio. But let's talk about all the stuff that you're going to need. As part of the project, there is probably some stuff that's already in your collection that that you could use. You may already have the microphones and everything like that. Otherwise, you're going to have to source them. For the one that I'm making today, you need the original Apple desktop mic. You know what these are. These are stuck to the side of every Macintosh Classic, or Classic 2 rather, in the computer lab at your high school. And then you're also going to need a mouse to make it appropriate, like kind of appropriate with how the movie makes it look. You need one of these old style Apple mice. This one right here, this is an Apple IIc mouse. This is an actual mouse from a Mac 128. I wouldn't use these. And here's why. Because modern reproductions exist. And your friend and mine, Javier, of 8-bit teas and 8-bit stuff and a million Retrobrite streams and things like that, actually makes these modern reproduction shells for the mice. They look really good. I would say that that they are like at a distance. If you were going to do a display or something like that, it would be very, very tough to tell. They feel the thing. It's good. It's weighty in the hand. But the nice thing about them, they're optical. So these newer optical mice for like the Mac 2C, the 128, the 512, the Plus, it's kind of nice. These mice are kind of expensive, and and they are just regular ball mice. or mechanical mice rather, or mechano-optical mice. So these are actually really, really neat. But Javier did a really good job on these. It's even got like a cute little sticker. It says optical mouse, and it's got like a little serial number and everything like that. It's very cute. A lot of heart went into this. So the idea though is that we're going to, rather than use one of these old antiques, we're, instead of using one of these, we're going to use a mono reproduction. The other thing is this: when you take the board and everything out of these older style, you do have quite a bit of area that you would have to cover, or you would have to come up with some sort of way to kind of fill this gap in. And the new mouse really takes care of that. So anyway, let's go ahead. We're going to get these out of the way. I'm going to take these off the bench. And you might be asking yourself, you might be saying, hey, Ron, let me ask you this. I've got a newer Mac that absolutely requires the later plain talk style microphone. Can I still do this project using one of these? And the answer is yes. You can absolutely open this baby up. Unlike the older style mouse, the optical pickup is actually a separate piece inside here. So it's really easy. You can desolder it, you can move it, you can do whatever you want to do. But the project today is going to focus on this, and we'll just touch on this at the very, very end of the project. So, okay, let me get that out of the way. So what are you going to need? Again, I'm going to say that for the project we're doing today, you are going to need one of Javier's shells. And I reached out to him and I verified, and yes, he will sell you a shell separately if you really want one. All you have to do is go over there to 8-Bit Stuff or 8-Bit Tees, send him an email, message him on Facebook, message him on Mastodon, message him on Blue Sky, all the usual places, and you can get a hold of him. So you need one of these. You also are going to need a complete, now granted, hey, I already used mine. That's fine. I forgot. I had another one of these on my desk at work and I walked off and left it there. So please just go along with me on this. But anyway, you're going to need one of these original desktop mics. And then you're going to need a couple of little things from the hardware store. If you're going to use this one, you're going to need a CPVC, that is Charlie, Victor, Papa, Charlie, PVC 3/4 inch joiner. And what you're going to do with this is based on what design you go with, what mouse shell you use, you're going to cut this down, because what this will actually do is on this mouse, the optical pickup is actually soldered to the board. And if you can imagine, it sort of sticks up like this. So you need something that is going to basically allow that optical the pickup in the microphone to stand up off the bottom of the mouse, so that way that you can actually, use it. It's not like pushing down right at the bottom, because any sound that hits the case on the mouse, or I'm sorry, on the shell, it's going to be transferred in, and you're not going to get as good a quality. Now, granted, depending on the Mac you use, depending on a lot of different things, the audio quality is going to vary. And keep in mind, this is just for fun. Okay? So what we're going to do is, let me go ahead and pop this open. I'll show you what it looks like on my finished one here in a second. The other thing you're going to need is you're going to need to go to the fabric store, and you're going to need to purchase, here, gosh, mine still has the tag on it. Let me get the tag out of here. Or the receipt rather. You're going to need a tiny bit of spandex. And why spandex? It's nice and flexible. Plus, it's very airy. It's not going to be a barrier for your pickup to be able to get the best quality possible. So I bought 6 inches. That's all the more I used. I used like 1 inch of it. So yeah, Joe, if you've got other fabrics sitting around the house, whatever it might be, you got a pair of Joe Namath slingshot briefs, whatever it might be, you can use that too. That's fine. And then to make everything stay together, you're going to need every crafter's friend, the old hot glue gun. And I just bought this. All my other ones, I have like the little tiny ones, like the little tiny craft ones. Gosh, those things suck. So I finally just went to Lowe's and I bought like a big one. And this one's really great. It's got a couple of different modes. Even the low temp mode gives you a little bit more, it gives you enough time to work before it starts to set up. Those little ones, the thermal load of putting the stuff through there, it never seems to get out of that milky stage. So you end up with like less than ideal results. At least that's my opinion. Okay, enough dilly-dallying around. So just like the original one, Javier's design, there's 2 screws. You remove those. On his, he's got this nice 3D printed flex at the top. This just kind of sticks down in there. I'm going to pull that up out of the way. And then we're just going to slide and unlock the mouse. So inside, this is all pretty simple. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This is all fairly simple. Let me get my pointer, a little pointer stick here. And you can see what I've done. Basically, I had to go through, and because if you want to get the that connector through this, you are going to have to unsolder the cable from the PCB. And lucky for you, it's just 3 little connections. There's a ground and a black and a white. Just, use a piece of paper, write down the orientation of them based on yours, just in case they change the cable colors. Unsolder them. You can feed the whole thing through, which is what I did right here. And then I resoldered them on. As you see, I trimmed down. I didn't have to make mine very tall. I trimmed down that 3/4 inch CPVC connector, so that way that it would accommodate. You see right there, this is where the pickup is here on the other side of there. It's basically just a flat PCB. There's a couple of capacitors in there, and then there's that pickup there in the middle. And if you the 3/4 inch is plenty of space, you can mount the whole board up there. You don't have to flip caps around, anything like that. So I think it worked out really well. So basically, at the bottom, because again, you got to cover up this little hole right here. I cut a rectangle larger than the hole of that stretchy spandex material. Put a little bit of glue on the corners, pushed that down, stretched it out, so that way it was nice and tight across there. And then took my little CPVC riser, put that in, or actually, before I did that, I glued the PCB to the riser. That makes it a little bit easier on assembly. So a little bit of PCB, or a little bit of glue around the edges on the PCB. Just push it down, squish on the other side of the board. Make sure that's good and connected. Make sure you've got plenty of cable. You got enough slack to do what you're trying to do here. And then, man, you just hot glue it. You put the spurs to it, as they say. Make it enough so that way it all stays in place. That's really it. I didn't say it was complicated. I just said it was fun. And at this point, I used the old strain relief on the old microphone, because again, that kind of pops out this little hole here on the back. Use that to kind of hold everything in place, make it nice and neat. And then you can slide this all back together. There's little guides in there that link it all up. Push this back into place. There's kind of a nice side and a kind of a ugly side. It's 3D print. What are you going to do? So I make sure that that's down. Put your screws back in. That's it. You're ready to reenact what is hopefully now your favorite scene in Star Trek 4. The question that I'm sure people are going to ask is, how the heck do you get inside here? Is this just pressure fit? And if you're looking at this earlier, it's very possible that you saw these little catches and stuff in here. Well, there's one screw that holds the whole thing together. It's the same deal on the Plain Talk mic. And it is just hidden away under the little rubber pad. One screw, you can unscrew that, and then the whole thing just kind of pops apart. And that's what it looks like on the inside. As you can see, this is where the old pickup on that mic kind of sat down in there. Kind of sat down in there. And then there were a couple of small screws that anchor the board in place. and then some plastic to keep it in place too. And that's again where the outer shell mates up together. But that's really it. It's a fairly simple design. You can pull it right out of there. So we've built it. We've got our thing together. I guess the only thing that's left to do is to test it out. If you give me 1 second, I'm going to put the camera on standby for a second, and then I'm going to get the camera spun around. I just don't want to do this in like pukey vision for everybody. And then we're going to actually test it out. So give me 1 second, please. All right, let's switch over there. Hey, we're there. I'm going to try to get the mic, the desktop mic stretched over there too, so that way that everybody can continue to hear me. Now, granted, this is not a Mac Plus, but a Mac Plus doesn't actually have sound input unless you have a device like the Folleron Mac recorder and something like that. But we're just going to use the built-in recording on this Quadra 700. So let's go ahead and plug this in. Okay. The other thing to keep in mind is some of these machines aren't compatible with the older style mics. So I'm thinking like a Quadra 605. So think about it this way: a Mac, like a Mac 2SI, an SE30, a Classic 2, a Quadra 610, a Century 610, the 700. There's a bunch of these older machines that'll use the old style mic. You'll have to play around. The actual jack is a little bit different on those other ones. Okay, so here we are. This is Sound Recorder, or no, it's Sound Edit 16 rather. Sorry. And this is what we're going to use for our test. Okay, so here we go to make sure, so you can make sure this is all on the level. Hello, computer. Now, granted, I was really close to the mic, so I kind of blew it out, but let's listen. Hello, computer. Pretty neat, right? So, anyway, that's all I've got for the moment. I want to thank everybody for taking a few minutes out of their afternoon and spending it with me. As I always say, Apple II forever. Anyway, that's all I've got for the moment. I want to thank everybody for taking a few minutes out of their afternoon and spending it with me. As I always say, Apple II forever.